and welcome back to Two Fairs for the Avengers Reserve Podcast, episode 19. And I'm delighted, as always, to be joined by Sad Boy Care. How are you doing today, Care?
I'm good. I'm very tired. But how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm fairly tired myself. I think I got in from work at sort of 2, 3 a.m. or something like that. But yeah, it's definitely I think we started this in kind of lockdown. I think it was still here, and you were didn't have this kind of new job at Disney World.
Yeah.
So it was
I was
very
doing
much more
nothing.
easily manageable. Yeah, it was very manageable back in the day, and just waiting for a new Marvel episode to come out. It certainly is. So I'm racking up to sort of 40 hours a week now, which is interesting. I think that's what I always wanted stability in work and things like that.
Yeah.
And you're working a lot of hours as well, so it's definitely gonna be a bit of a challenge to do this podcast moving forward, I think. But we were just kind of saying that I think, as well as that, there isn't any momentum going forward with the What If series. It just feels a little, and I don't want to say it, but it just feels a little stale, and it's just getting a bit dull now.
Yeah. It's just not what I was expecting. It's not bad. I don't know. It's not like the usual Marvel hype around it. And I think it's just because it's kind of like a filler set of content for us to hold us over before, what is it, Doctor Strange, I guess, or Spider-Man probably.
Probably Spider-Man, Venom 2, yeah. I think Shang Chi has obviously came out over the last week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's been exactly that. It's kind of just been this filler content, which I think has been appreciated. Not going to complain. Obviously, getting more on your Disney Plus subscription.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, there's not really too much room to argue. It just feels a little underwhelming, I suppose, is really the correct word to use.
Definitely.
Besides that, we obviously have had another episode come out on Wednesday, the What If Zombies episode. Just your kind of generic overview, really.
What do you mean, my thoughts on it?
Yeah, as the episode as whole. Sorry, I thought I was going to hiccup, so I was trying to get that out really quickly.
No, you're fine. I literally just finished watching it. It was good. But I think it was I don't know what my problem is with it. I think it might just be because it was cliche, that I was just kind of I don't know. Also, I hated that Tom Holland wasn't in it. That ruined it for me.
Yeah, who was the voice actor for Spider-Man? Do you know?
I don't know, and I don't care because it wasn't Tom Holland, and it ruined it for me. But
yeah, no, I think I agree with you really there, and I think it was just a very clever way as well of just that Iron Man and Captain America were kind of zombies straight away, so they didn't really have to find a replacement voice actor for those people.
Yeah, and I also just yeah, that's very true. I didn't even think about that. But what was I gonna say? I feel like it was kind of I did like the way they did it, and I liked that the side characters got to be the heroes in this one. Bucky, and not that Bucky's a side character anymore, but Bucky, fucking Kurt. I thought that was really funny. All of the people who you wouldn't really expect to be still alive. In my brain, I was how is Kurt alive? How is he alive? That man is so stupid.
He's so stupid in the Ant-Man movies. It makes no sense that he would survive a zombie apocalypse.
Exactly. And then Wong was eaten. I was that makes no sense to me. Wong and Strange are zombies, and Kurt is alive and well.
Yeah. They did kind of, as well, the way that Wong dies at the very start.
Yeah.
I was does he just, because they all still have their powers as zombies, which I thought was a very interesting concept. The fact that a zombie can use a sort of Iron Man suit, but most of them is kind of walking around.
I mean, technically,
really to them.
they explained it as being like a quantum illness. So it's
Yeah.
not like they're like dead. So they can still, it's kind of like if you're sick. Just because you're sick doesn't mean you can't do the things that you usually could do,
Okay.
if that makes sense. I feel like
Yeah.
that's why they still have their powers.
Mm.
But that's just me trying to rationalize it. It was weird.
Yeah, yeah. It was really weird. But it was an interesting take, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that it took place during Infinity War as well, because it kind of
Yeah.
just it flipped that story. That was definitely something that I wasn't kind of expecting when I saw the title. I thought it was going to be a completely
Yeah.
different like timeline or something that I don't know whatever happened. And yeah, no, it made sense with the whole that what's called Hank Pym is like obviously going to rescue his wife like 2 weeks before and things like that. Like, I think that just about works out, doesn't it? Like takes place at the same time of Infinity War.
Yeah. I feel like
Um,
they did a very good job of like explaining how this one happened. I can't
yeah,
really say that about every single one.
yeah. I think there's
Like
like the
the
T'Challa Star Lord one is the only other one that springs to mind that is like really
yeah,
explained.
and
Yeah.
then the one I was going to say that didn't really do it very well was the Ant-Man one, or the one where the Hank Pym kills all the Avengers in like 2012.
Oh right, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That one was
yeah.
like I didn't really like that explanation, but this explanation actually made sense. Like it actually was something that like probably could have happened in the universe, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. Yeah. What did you make of the training video that Spider-Man kind of creates and sort
I
of like how to
I
survive a
loved
zombie
that.
apocalypse? I absolutely loved it. So
I
I
loved
didn't
that.
I didn't like properly notice it because I started watching the episode last night at like
Mm,
2 a.m. and I was just slowly kind of like falling asleep and I was like, oh, I'll just check it tomorrow, and then watched
yeah.
it again today. But obviously the training video in entirety, I hadn't really noticed it properly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought it was fantastic. I love that little
I
like
it's
addition.
exactly on brand for Peter. Like
Mhm.
that's like what he does. He's like a little like YouTuber guy every
Yeah.
once in a while. I thought it was so cute. I'm so glad that they did something like that. Cuz like
Yeah.
even during a zombie apocalypse, he's like, "Let's just do this." And I think it's cute that like Happy even participated cuz like I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
to think that like he was just trying to like make sure that he had some kind of semblance of normal in
Mm.
what was going on, you know? Like he like took over a father role afterwards. That's just how I like to think about it. But
Yeah.
I
Very
also
good
read into
analysis that.
things. So
Did you what's it called? Obviously, Sharon Carter makes an appearance, whereas when we've
yeah.
just seen in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, she gets completely like disowned, is what I've written in my notes, by the U.S. government,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word. But obviously, something has kind of happened in that timeline where she's allowed to stay there.
I don't think so much as that. I think more so there was no one left to keep her out of the country because everyone was becoming zombies. And so she
I
was
don't
just
know. So
like,
I kind
continue,
of
go ahead.
thought that, but then like, because doesn't everything happen like her going to Madripoor before Infinity War? Because it all happens in Civil War, right?
Yes. But like what I'm saying is like maybe she just like flew out when she heard that everyone was like in trouble, you know? I don't know.
If you say so. I mean,
I don't I'm just
can't
saying.
catch a flight in a
There's
pandemic, but a zombie apocalypse, sure.
okay. I'm going to end the call now. Good episode. Bye guys. Bye.
I don't know.
Oh my
I thought it was just
god.
very interesting how she was just kind of just there, just in general.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
and
yeah.
it just kind of, yeah, because especially after Falcon and the Winter Soldier and finding out where she's kind of been and what she's gone through.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know if that was kind of done intentionally to kind of like maybe spite a couple of Marvel fans, but yeah, it was just a
Maybe.
little bit interesting to see her there. Interesting, the number one most used word on this podcast.
Yeah.
Um,
That and exciting.
yeah, I'm excited. Uh, There was one bit which I did find actually quite funny, was when Okoye, she kills Sam in front of Bucky. If you spotted this, yeah? And Sam, and she's like, oh, sorry, like, I've killed your friend. Whereas she just replies, Bucky replies, I should be sad, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I fucking loved that. Absolutely loved it. It's just such a Bucky comment. I don't know, it's just such a Bucky comment, isn't it? And when you really look at the relationship or friendship between them, Sam and Bucky, like, it's exactly type of shit that he would have said, like, up to that point.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely.
Yeah, there was the Bucky versus Steve fight as well, which was
very
interesting.
I really liked the way that Steve died.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's like, I don't know, that's a little morbid, but like I liked the way they did it. Like, I was just expecting him to like shoot him in the head, but like I liked the fact that he like got killed by his own shield. Like I don't know. I just thought that was like a very creative way to do it, you know?
Yeah, no, I did like that. Yeah, I thought it was just very interesting to literally was struggling so hard to find another word to use just then. But yeah, I think just that how, you know, it was Bucky to kind of kill Steve, and I didn't really know, like, because the way that they died at the start with Iron Man, who else was there? Doctor Strange and Wong, I think. I think it was those three three that died at the very start. It's all very kind of sudden, whereas like Bucky versus Steve kind of seemed like a bit of a...
It was drawn out a little bit more.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that they did that, just because obviously you know the relationship between Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes.
I actually just made this connection kind of thing. I don't know. I know this probably doesn't mean anything, but like I think it's interesting that they decided to put the scene where Steve dies on a train, because when Bucky dies, they were on a train.
Okay, potentially interesting.
I just think that that's interesting. I don't know if that was like, I'm pretty sure it was on purpose. I don't know. But like there's a possibility that that was on purpose and they did it because of that, but I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Just something to think about.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's definitely a good observation. For sure. Didn't think about that at all.
Yeah, I just thought about it when we were talking about it. And I was like, oh, there's a parallel there. But yeah.
Ant-Man getting brought back to life as a Futurama head was fucking fantastic. Like, there's obviously no logical explanation for how that is done in modern day.
Yeah, they didn't explain how they did it. They just did it. And then he was making dad jokes the whole time. And I was like, bro, what? Like,
I love Paul Rudd being in this episode. I really did.
Oh my God.
I don't know. Like, I absolutely love that addition. It's just absolutely wild. And a true comedic moment, which was just completely unexpected. Like I kind of had the feeling, because obviously in the opening credits, like they credit Paul Rudd, and I was like, they wouldn't credit him for like a line, like that he says at the very start. So like, that's what I was thinking too. Some way that like he's still alive or whatever, or like been cured. But yeah, I just I was not expecting.
I wasn't expecting it at all. Yeah. It kind of makes me feel like he cured all of him and then fed the rest of him to Wanda.
Potentially, actually, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
because there was no reason for him to just be... There was no reason for him to just be, like, a severed head.
Yeah.
Because, like, in the first scene when you see him get attacked, like, he just gets bit. So there's no reason why he should just be a head. So I think Vision cured him, but, like, kept him asleep and then woke him up when he was just a head left.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I can see that. God, yeah. I mean, that whole... Vision, it just makes the whole Vision and Wanda, and I know that their relationship is just a bit weird anyway, but like this episode just takes it from 0 to 100, or more from like 50 to 100, you know? It's just a bit
it kind of
weird.
It kind of was like a reverse WandaVision, though, if you think about it.
So like being in control of Wanda rather than
Yeah.
Wanda being in control of Vision. Yeah, I suppose
Yeah,
I can
exactly.
see that. Yeah.
Like, it was like the same kind of like concept where like someone was mourning their loved one and just trying to take care of them and like just have them in their life.
Uh-huh.
The one thing about Vision's whole thing that I didn't understand was that he was like, okay, I have to fix this. And then he kills himself.
Yeah, it confused the hell out
I
of
was
me.
like, I was like, how is that fixing it? You made it worse.
Yeah.
You're literally the smartest thing in the universe and you made it worse.
Yeah.
What?
I just didn't even understand what he was trying to do by like leveling the place to like trap Wanda. Because I feel like he could have even done a lot more to give the other guys a better chance of escaping. Because then obviously,
Yeah.
Bruce Banner then has to turn into the Hulk and fight off all the zombies, and they have to fly off. Like I feel like he could have given them a much better chance
Yeah.
to escape, at least if he was going to sacrifice himself. You know.
Yeah.
It just felt strange.
It just did not, it did not make sense to me
Yeah.
at all.
They obviously managed to escape and are heading their way to Wakanda, which is where we get the cliffhanger, I suppose, for this episode, where
Yeah,
we see zombie
this
Thanos end up with the stones.
this is the first one where I was like, okay, I could see a part two because it felt very like abrupt.
Yeah.
And it did feel like they were like leading up to something. And I've said since the beginning, like I've stood by this that I don't think that they're ever gonna do part twos.
Yeah.
But that one was like a cliffhanger.
Yeah, definitely. It's weird as well because I think not for all of the episode, but for most of the episode, as I obviously understood that it was in the Infinity War timeline, I started to just kind of think that obviously Doctor Strange had the Time Stone back then, and Vision obviously has a stone there. It was just kind of like, why don't they just get the Infinity Stones and, or just even the Time Stone, just go back in time and try and fix it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just weird how it kind of never occurred to them, but I guess that's the way that they wanted the episode to play out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's also like they didn't know that Strange had the Time Stone.
No, yeah. I'm trying to think who actually knew Strange like before Infinity War, but I don't think there really is anyone.
No one. Thor. Yeah.
And then obviously Thor's in space.
I don't know.
I suppose it does make sense.
Yeah.
But no.
I feel like if they knew that, they would have done it. But also, I was just confused on how Thanos got the Time Stone when his two lackeys became zombies.
Well, I think he was in... Because the Thanos at the end is a zombie himself, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think...
But I just figured that when he... I just figured that when he got there, he got bit by someone.
Yeah, probably. And I think it's just... You can kind of make out that he is in New York, and I think he's literally just prying them from their dead corpses. I think that's all it really was.
Yeah. True.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out in the sequel next year.
Oh God, you're really thinking that there's gonna be sequels. I don't think so, but yeah.
I think it's one of them series.
I mean, this one definitely has potential, but I just think that they're definitely gonna go with more of a Twilight Zone type thing and just keep coming up with new stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess it just really depends how the series has been received, Like, if people are kind of receiving it like us, where it's like, like,
yeah,
it's a chore to watch it, sort of
and
thing.
I feel like a lot of people probably are feeling that way.
I think there has been a very big mixed reception so far, so I don't know, it just kind of depends how the audience feedback is taken on by Marvel Studios and by Disney Plus and wherever they actually want to do it, because it is genuinely one of those series where they could literally do whatever they want. They could do a sequel, they could not do a sequel. They can reverse anything because it's literally the name of the show.
True.
ratings, I guess, really, for that episode. Overall, what did you think of it? What's your rating?
I feel like 6.5.
Okay.
It was a very average episode in my opinion. Like I liked it. Like I liked the way they did a lot of it, but I wasn't. It was very, like I said before, it was very cliche and like just zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
We've seen it before. We'll see it again.
Yeah.
It's a small group of people trying to just stay alive at this point. It wasn't really like saving the world, you know?
Yeah, I think I feel you. I think I gave it a... Well, actually, I just kind of like kept the rating from last week's episode because which was 7 out of 10, I believe. And I was like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
probably around there. And then I think I was kind of like, maybe it's a 6, but we'll give it a 7. So I think 6.5 out of 10 is probably about right, really.
Yeah.
There's not really too much of a wow factor in this episode, nor was it a bad episode, really. It was just kind of very average, I think is the perfect word that you used. Was
Yeah.
going to watch it anyway, and we'll probably watch next week's episode.
Yep.
We're now obviously just going to give our reaction and official breakdown of anything that we saw in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I guess it's always good to start with kind of like first impressions of the movie in general. Spoke to you over the weekend. Thoroughly enjoyed this movie, just like myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, just tell us your general first impressions of Shang-Chi.
First impressions like after the film or like as the film began?
I guess a bit of both, really.
Okay. So, like, what was it? I loved the opening sequence and how it was all in Chinese. I loved that. I was sitting there though and I was like, I know there's people in the audience here that are probably going to be like, I can't follow this. Like I can't follow the subtitles and all that kind of stuff. But I loved it. I thought it was it made it so much more like personable and I loved that they didn't always speak English the entire time. You know?
Yeah.
Like there were a few parts throughout the film where they were not speaking English and I was like, "Thank you. Finally, someone who's from somewhere and speaks a different language and doesn't always speak English in an American film." I was like, "This is amazing. I love this. I'm so happy." I loved that. I also loved the soundtrack throughout. My roommate and I were talking about it and we were saying that this is the first soundtrack since Black Panther that we were like, we're going to listen to this on the way home because it's so good. Like it was so good. And I just loved like everything about it. I loved it. I thought it was so cool. It gave me like, what do I want to say? Like live action anime type, like fantasy anime. Like it kind of gave me what was it? I want to say Avatar, and I don't know why. But like I think it's just like the flying dragon at the end. Even though there's not really like I mean there were dragons in Avatar, so maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But I was just like, "Oh, this is so good. This is so good." And when you said I forget who it was. I think it was you who said like it was more of like an experimental film and Marvel was like, "Oh, we're just like trying things out." I was very nervous. And I was like, "Uh-oh. That scares me." But I think they did everything perfectly right. I think they did everything right. It was so good. It was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah, I think like when it came to experimenting, like they hadn't really done like a martial arts movie to my knowledge.
Yeah.
One that I could really think of. And yeah, I think like you were saying about like just the small details, like the characters speaking in their native language and the whole introduction. I loved that like whole going back in history and exactly like you were saying, like kind of like going back with Black Panther. Like for you, like you were saying, it was a soundtrack story, yeah.
Yeah.
like for me, like it was reminiscent of Black Panther because it's explaining the story up until the modern day, where the
Yeah,
mom is
that
relaying the
too.
story to her son about her dad, about his dad, sorry, um, all the way up until the sort of like modern day. I just absolutely loved that. I loved how they captured that in like a couple of minutes, and then you're just all up to date. You know, Shang Chi, not a very, I don't want to say popular, but not a very well known character in
Yeah.
the MCU. This was his introduction movie. Fans going to watch to the cinema to watch Shang Chi for the first time probably don't know who it is. You know, and I
Yeah.
think it covered that for any new Marvel fan straight away. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I thought that was just perfectly done, perfectly done.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and I just loved it all the way through. Loved the fight scenes at the very end. The entire battle, I just thought was absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was so good. Oh, the other thing I was gonna say was I really liked Aquafina's character, and I
Uh huh.
liked that there was kind of like, okay, so throughout the entire film, like in the beginning especially, I was like, they better not just like force a relationship
Yeah.
on these two
I
people.
know where you're getting at. Yeah.
And I loved that they maintained the fact that they were just friends until the literal very end. And I
Mhm.
do see potential of them actually getting together
Mhm.
later, but I'm glad that they didn't force it in the first film
Yeah. It's
because
kind of.
I just feel like films always have this forced romance for no
Yeah.
reason, and like I was so glad that they kept it out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you saying the kind of like forced romance. Like, just reminds me of Star Wars with Finn and Rey, and then it eventually became Rey and Kylo Ren, which was so forced. Like, it just seemed a bit like, do you really have to do this? Like, nobody really pictured them together
Yeah.
at all. And that's
Yeah.
exactly kind of what they did. It just got to the movie where they flipped it on its head and just put them two together. You know, there was no real build up. Whereas
Mhm.
with KD and Shang-Chi, um, it was exactly that. There kind of has been that build up where they've gone through this whole like experience together, and you still can kind of like consider them as friends. But yeah, you can see the potential for them moving into
Yeah.
kind of relationship or being boyfriend and girlfriend. You know, it's very nice.
Yeah. I don't I feel like it's going to be like a slow burn, and I usually don't like slow burn, at least when I'm
Yeah,
like reading books, but like this
yeah,
is going to be a good one and I can feel it. Like,
yeah. Okay.
and I really like the thought that Aquafina will finally be a fucking like love interest instead of just a quirky best friend, cuz she's
Yeah,
always the quirky best friend. It's
yeah,
her time. But like
yeah,
I'm glad that they didn't do it yet.
yeah. No, definitely. This would be good.
Yeah.
Um, Starting with obviously at the very start of the movie, you know how the Mandarin explains it that like he's been around for like 1,000 years or something like that, and he ruled this
Yeah.
massive empire. Um, it occurred to me, it kind of like upon finishing the film, that I was like, didn't you just find it really strange that it took him until 1996 to settle down and like have a wife and have a couple of kids?
I was
A
honestly
thousand years is a
shocked that
long
he
time.
was I was shocked that he was around for their childhood. I was like, this man is so power hungry. He's just gonna leave this woman as soon as he knocks her up.
Yeah,
That's what I
I
was
really was
expecting.
surprised. Yeah,
I was I was more so shocked that he settled down than the fact that he like hadn't before, if that makes sense. Like I
yeah,
feel
I
like
guess
it was not very on brand for him to settle down at all, and I'm not
Mm.
shocked that it took him that long.
Yeah, it felt like he was that powerful and so in control and like had his goals set out of what he wanted to do, that to kind of be
Hmm.
that blindsided by a female, it just didn't seem right. It just seemed a little bit strange that he would just kind of go there. But I suppose again, it's like nitpicking. It's how kind of like how they make the stories. Um, But I just found it funny more than anything. Like, if he was going to settle down at some point, why is it taking him 1,000 years to find one person? Like, surely he must have come across somebody.
I mean, I genuinely think that it probably had something to do with her power.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
even Shang was talking about it, and he was saying that his mother was the only one who was able to beat him in the 1,000 years. So, like, I think that would have, like, been like, oh, you're also really powerful. Cute. Let's have kids.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. I kind of see it.
He was a very power-hungry man. Like, very power-hungry. So I would not be surprised if he, like, expected Shang's mother to actually teach him what she knew, you know?
Yeah.
And then she never did. So.
What did you... This is obviously fast forwarding because I think like Shang Chi, like we did with Black Widow, like it's so hard to break down a 2.5 hour movie that I'd rather just go through like a couple of points, and then if obviously you've got any in particular that you want to point out, then we'll kind of do that. Obviously we spoke on the phone as well that I was just very pissed off that the Abomination cameo was literally just a cameo.
Yeah. I was confused about how he would even be like the villain. I was like, I don't get how they're gonna bring that in. So I was not surprised that it was just a cameo, because I was like, I don't know how they're gonna do that. It'll feel forced if they like made it into anything else.
Yeah.
I loved Wong's cameo though. I thought that was funny. I thought it was funny that Wong was actually the one fighting the Abomination.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think we said
and
that
the fact that he just like goes to fight clubs. Yeah, and just like the fact that he goes to like a fight club to like beat up this monster.
Yeah.
And then like he's friends with the monster outside of the fights. I was like, bro, what is this double life you're living?
I definitely did.
I just thought it was so funny.
I think it's just the way that the way that I received the trailer was I just knew that Shang-Chi was going to fight Abomination, and that was going to be like Abomination's like big return. When in reality, Wong just beats him up, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And he goes back, and I was like, yeah, fair. I just felt like the whole his sister going to fight him was just so predictable. I was like, no, like it can't be, because it's just that predictable. So I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about that.
I agree that it was predictable, but it was also necessary for the story.
Yeah.
So, I wasn't mad about it. I kind of liked it, because, like, I like when things are, like, so predictable that they're, like, that you're, like, surely not. Surely it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But then it does. Like, I kind of like that, because it makes you feel like, oh, I can see what's coming next. Like, I got this. I don't know. That's just my film major brain, where I'm like, oh, I can still analyze things. It makes me very happy.
I think one of the biggest showstoppers or show stealers had to be Trevor and Morris. Absolutely loved their addition. You know, as in the guy who played the Mandarin, Trevor the actor, Morris the whatever the fuck that thing was.
I thought that was so funny.
But also so ugly.
I loved that thing. I want like a plushie of it. Like, it's so cute. Yeah, I thought that was really funny. Trevor was just like I'm glad that he was more of like the, what's it called? Comic relief than Awkwafina was.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just so glad that his character was like inputted into that. Oh, I thought it was so funny.
Yeah. I think it was great to just kind of like continue to include him, you know? Because I just genuinely didn't imagine that we would ever see him again after Iron Man 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was definitely definitely the way that I wanted to see him, and obviously using the name of the Mandarin, like obviously the actual Mandarin was kind of upset by that and things. But yeah, definitely as the comic relief, like absolutely nailed it. Even the scene where the entire battle's going on and they both end up playing dead, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. What I
Yeah.
think irks me about watching it in the cinema, and I think even with Lauren as well, who came to see it with me, no one really had any idea who he was, and that just kind of irked me. I was like, oh my god, like nobody's like
Wait,
made any kind
really?
of reaction.
Really?
Yeah, and it was strange
Maybe
because I was
maybe
like the only
it's
person there.
maybe it's because we paid the extra to see it in Dolby,
Okay.
but everyone in the theater was like, "Oh my god."
Oh,
Like
no.
we
That's
all were kind of just
exactly.
like we were like as soon as he showed up on the screen, everyone just started laughing. We were like, "Oh my god." Like I can't.
That's
I
exactly what
can't
I
believe
wanted.
that.
Yeah, no, I was so
Oh, that's
disappointed, but that's
sad.
exactly what I was
That's
expecting. I
sad.
ended up being the only person in the cinema making that reaction. I was like, oh, this is really awkward.
Oh.
Yeah,
That sucks.
but no, 100%. I think Morris plushie sales are definitely going to go up next few
Oh my
months.
god, I want one so bad. I want one so bad. It was so cute.
um, but yeah, no, them two, absolutely fantastic. Love them together. And the way that Trevor
Mhm.
is the only one to really understand what Morris is saying, I thought it was
Yeah.
brilliant. It was like, how does this
Yeah.
crackhead know what this thing's saying, yet none of you do?
I also thought it was really funny that like as soon as Morris came out, he was like, "Oh my god, you see him too. I'm not
Yeah,
going
yeah.
crazy."
I'm not
I was
hallucinating.
like,
Oh my
"Bro."
god.
I was like, "Bro, you need to go to therapy, man." Like
uh, um, I think
yeah.
another kind of like key point, which I thought was really cool, and the way they did things, is that Aquafina basically ends up being the savior.
Yes. Yeah.
Really cool. Really, really
It's
cool.
like Pepper. It's like Pepper in the Iron Man films.
Mm-hmm.
How like Pepper is always the one to like beat the villain in all of the Iron Man films. Like
Yeah.
she's always the reason why the villain gets defeated. Um so I really liked that they did that cuz I don't know. I just liked it.
No, but I think it's like we said, like because even during that whole kind of like build up of Aquafina like wanting to help and everyone at, I forget the name of the place. Is it Tao Lao? Is that right? Wherever you pronounce it, the village where they are,
Ta-
like,
Talo.
see, um, everyone there is just kind of like doesn't really expect her to do anything because like, she's just a normal human
Yeah.
being, like has no special gifts or talents or anything like that. Practices a
Yeah.
little bit of archery and boosts her confidence, and yeah, and then just like fucking stops the
Goes to
protector
town.
from having its soul sucked out of it. So save the
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
essentially. Like I thought that was absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic. What did you make of the mid-credit scene? Obviously you got Shang Chi and KD who are kind of pulled in by Wong to kind
Yeah.
of analyze the 10 rings, and it realizes that there's obviously something a little bit deeper in there. It's older than Wakandan tech, and it's a lot older than they originally expected.
Okay. I have a theory.
Okay, here we go.
It's Eternals tech.
Yes, yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Okay. Yeah, because like there's no way that something would have just like dropped them on Earth and it wouldn't have like released some kind of signature or like some kind of like I don't even know. Like if it was like in an asteroid or if like something like I don't know. I don't know how things get to the
Yeah,
world, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like if it had like crash landed on the Earth, there would be some kind of like archaeological signature in that area to say like how old it was, or like there would be some kind of like dirt on it or something that would tell you how old it is. And just the fact that they can't trace it at all makes me think that it's from the Eternals. And also the writing on it.
I think it was the writing and just the kind of the general look about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just very convenient that, you know, one of the next releases, even though I keep forgetting about it, is the Eternals.
Yeah.
And I think
See, I keep forgetting about Venom too, so.
Oh no, Venom 2 I am so excited about, but Eternals I'm like, oh yeah, like it's coming out in like a couple of months. A matter of weeks really now, but always forgetting about Eternals. But I think it's just very convenient that it's coming out, and you know, we've had Shang-Chi and then that technology there, and the whole like it was transmitting a beacon or something like that is what they were talking about. I think it's a bit too convenient for it not to be Eternals tech that that it won't potentially be featured in the upcoming Eternals movie.
Definitely. I also have a feeling that like it's kind of like the Thor and Mjolnir thing where like you have to be worthy of it.
Okay.
To an extent, like for it to like give off that kind of signature, because they said that they didn't know about it until he used them. Not his father.
Right, sure. Well, that explains like the different colours, doesn't it? Like, as maybe his father wasn't entirely worthy in the first place. Maybe.
Exactly. So like, I'm thinking that it's kind of like I don't know, some kind of like worthiness thing where like once someone who's like worthy of wielding it, someone who's going to use it for what it's actually meant to be used for, then it gives off that energy signature because it's at its full potential. Maybe it doesn't allow you to use all of its like strength and power if you are not worthy of it.
Okay. Yeah. No, definitely.
I don't know.
can definitely see that.
Just like a fail
post-credit
safe.
scene. Sorry, yeah. Post-credit scene. Zhu Liang becomes the leader of the Ten Rings, becomes the new villain in a way. Very excited by that change and move. Because it made sense what she says earlier on in the film, I think. Is why I could kind of see it coming.
I don't particularly see her being a villain. Okay. I see her kind of making the Ten Rings into some kind of spy organization to kind of like help the world instead of hurt the world the way her father was using it, you know?
Maybe. You know what I can see it being is a very similar operation to what Val is doing.
Okay.
Right? Like taking sort of like-minded, super-powered individuals and bringing them up into an organisation which isn't necessarily good, isn't necessarily bad. Like, it's just a bit of that kind of grey area. That's what I think I can kind of see it as.
Okay.
Whether
I
she
see
teams
it
up
definitely
with Val at some point in the future, I don't know.
I definitely see it. I can see it being that. But if it is, I feel like it's the antithesis of that. So, like, it's like the good counterpart of Val's bad. Like, Val's neutral society thing right now is going to turn bad, and hers is going to be good. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think so.
I just feel like she wouldn't. Oh, I do. I don't see her as being a bad guy because of how like she was left out by her father. So I feel like she would want to be anything but what her father was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just think so. The whole reason why she started the kind of like underground fight club at like 16 was like, oh, if I couldn't have my father's empire, then I was going to build my own. Like, she just seemed very set on having her own kind of like organization. I don't know.
Well, but that doesn't particularly mean that it's going to be one that does bad, you know? Like, it doesn't mean that she wants to do harm in the world. Because, like, she was She was just running a fight club.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
It wasn't
not
like...
necessarily.
I don't know. It wasn't like an assassin ring or something. Like, I don't see her being a bad person, personally.
Okay.
But that's just me.
Yeah. I don't know. Time will tell. I think I'm just, regardless, whatever happens, very excited to see her as the leader of the Ten Rings and how they move forward with that. In whatever capacity it really is. Definitely makes it very interesting. Right, so just before we wrap up, we have this one theory which we're going to talk about, which I sent to you over TikTok. Makes a lot of sense. There's also obviously some kind of skepticism to it. But there's this theory going around that Doctor Strange in the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer is potentially an imposter. Reasons being that like he wouldn't conjure that kind of spell. What were the other reasons? That's the only one that I can really think of. But like he wouldn't want to do a spell that's that dangerous and things like that, or doesn't really know too well.
He's seen the outcome of every timeline.
That's it, yeah.
To the point where he should know. But the hole in that is he's seen the outcome of every timeline, but the divine timeline is over.
Right.
At this point, it is no longer. So straying from the timeline is not as... It's easier to do now because there isn't one anymore. Everything's just kind of chaos. Then again, that could be one of the things that just like branches off our MCU. But bless you. I do really like the theory though, and I can see it just from the way that he looks. His hair is off. His hair is very off to me, and I'm like, it's too perfect. It looks like a wig.
The clothes aren't normal as well, is what I noticed. Like, like I have no arguments with Doctor Strange, taking some chill out time, and maybe he does want to wear trainers every now and then, but it just seemed weird. It wasn't right. I was like, oh, like his entire outfit is different. His hair's weird. Like, something just looked a little off with him. Which is why I kind of buy into it a little bit.
Yeah, no, I definitely buy into it. I don't see why he would even indulge Peter in like the idea of being able to like change the timeline for him. Yeah. So yeah. I think that there's definitely something sketchy going on.
Definitely, for sure.
But
no. As always, like looking very much to see in Spider-Man No Way Home. Apparently there's another trailer that's going to come out at some point. We just have to kind of wait and see.
Yeah.
Because apparently it wasn't meant to be a trailer anyway. So interesting.
Yeah. I feel like there was definitely meant to be one. They were just going to hold off on it for a little bit, and then it got leaked.
I think it's because it got leaked. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well. Thank you as always for joining me on this podcast.
Of course.
We'll obviously keep in touch and see where we can do the next one, if we're going to do one for next week or week after or whatever. We will obviously keep you guys updated over social media as to when we will be doing the next episodes. But thank you as always for tuning in, whether it's been on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. Greatly appreciate the support. And thank you also for everything that was there last week. Last week's episode did particularly well. We're very happy with the results of that. So yeah, I'm going to try and stop blabbing now. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you soon.
Bye.